Hello, this is Harri Kuokkanen from Hail Conjurer, Hooded Menace, and some other bands as well. See you at the Tampa Morgue.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, episode number 40. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Ed Webb. What is up, Mr. Webb?
Mr. Anderson, what is going on, brother?
Not much, same old. It's been a busy week. We had the guys from Vietnam, Blood Serpent on last week. We had Jamie Abrodaquin in on, I think it was Thursday.
It was.
Yeah, so we've been, just doing a lot of episodes. And actually, we're in 3 different places today because last week we were in, obviously, Vietnam, Lithuania, and then Tampa. And today we're actually, one of us who's joining us is in Finland right now, and you're in Tampa, and I'm over in Kaunas, Lithuania. So, yeah, we're starting the show, man. We opened up the show, actually, with the band Hail Conjurer. And the track we actually opened up with was Serpent, Sword, Flame off the 2019 Erotic Hell record. And we're actually joined by Harri. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's cold, like you said. It's cold, but it's kind of getting warmer in a way. The springtime's getting here, so yeah, waiting for the proper summer to come.
Did you wind up getting the weird, like last week we had, basically it was like 70, it was nice and warm. And then the last couple of days we've had like snow, which is basically like that slushy, how it's not really snow. It's like that wet ice, it doesn't really stick, I guess you would say.
Yeah, it's last day, yesterday we had some snow and today's been this slushy water, ice spike, you name it. So it's kind of raining, but when you go outside, you can see the ice sticks on the trees. So it's somewhere in the middle.
No, and right now you're in Helsinki, right?
Yeah, and it's a southern, one of the most southern parts of Finland. So it's not any more like a proper winter here. But when you go, I don't know, an hour norther, you get it's actually like snow still there. So
And are you guys starting to get like the warmer summers and stuff? Because I know here in Kaunas, Lithuania, they're telling me that it's getting warmer and warmer every year. Are you guys starting to see that too?
yeah, I think so. And it's a kind of a strange thing that I think the summer's getting like delayed usually, but when it's late summer, early autumn, that's really really warm, and we've had like a July, August, we've had like weeks and weeks, like straight, just this unbearable warmth, unbearable for me at least. I'm not like dealing very well with the heat and all this stuff. So
So, and you were actually born in Lappeenranta, Finland?
yeah, I was born in Lappeenranta, which is like a southeastern, like I don't know what's the population nowadays, but like yeah, less than 100,000 people. I grew up in the town next to Lappeenranta, which is called Joutseno, and
Okay.
but it's basically part of Lappeenranta nowadays. But it was like a 11,000 people population town where I grew up.
And as a kid, like what, like, you know, through the eyes as a kid, actually, what was it like growing up there? Do you have any memories of like,
Um, I have lots of memories. It's kind of a depends on the perspective, what kind of things you're looking for. For example, from my perspective, I started to get into the music and arts and stuff when I was, I don't know, like more seriously when I was like 12. I was always interested in music and expressive stuff as a small kid as well. But from 12, 13, we had our first actual bands. I think it was 11 when we recorded the first demo tape with some band or something like that. But from there, it was kind of a lonely place because we don't. It mostly the young people were doing sports, ice hockey and all that stuff, and it was kind of a they weren't together, the sport kids and the art kids. They were like two separate worlds, and I was like more orienting towards the art world. So it was like I only had like a handful of friends. I like two good friends and a couple of other like pals, we like bandmates, and we were just like the weirdos, the hippie weirdos of Joutseno. So it was yeah.
and what you moved to Yautensa? I'm not going to pronounce so many things wrong tonight. You moved there, at what, 5 or 6 around?
Uh, to Joutseno. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was before school. Year or two after before school, we moved to Joutseno, and so I started all my school years were in Joutseno. Yeah, so that's kind of that's why I always like think about Joutseno as my like original hometown, because in Lappeenranta I was such a small kid.
Now, did you come from a musical background, like where your parent? I know I do know that your dad had a record collection and stuff, but were they like any musicians in your family?
No, 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 no. My dad, my dad, when he was a kid, he wanted to. He was really into kind of rock music and stuff. But my family background, my father's family background and my mother's family background, they're really religious in this kind of sect sort of way, and so the music on those circles it's considered as a sin. So it was kind of a he never got into that as a young person, but in adulthood, my father just had records. I used to listen to them sometimes in secret because he wasn't very into not that into like kids taking his vinyls from the shelf and all that stuff. But no actual musicians. They didn't play anything. So, um, but there was always like singing. We're kind of a family that everyone's singing. I think it's somehow there's somehow related to the Karelian culture. My family background is originally from. It's a kind of a yeah, I remember like just l- listening to music and singing a lot, like be it like a just a of course hymns sometimes with the grandparents and all the stuff like the Christian stuff, but also just like yeah, everyone sings nowadays. If you get a family meeting or gathering, you have a karaoke with tens of people just singing. Everyone sings.
What was it? Like traditional, what, folk music there, contemporary, like that kind of.
Not actually. Sometimes, yeah, I kind of like that, like the original folk music. My grandmother's uh, brother gave me this vinyl box set of traditional Finnish folk songs when I was like 10 years old. I got really enthusiastic with that stuff, but it usually was just anything like be it like uh, songs from the Lion King or something like that. Just like anything, just pop music, like not actual pop music, but more like this, like just a popular music around Finland. So, but it was. I think the key was that we were all like always singing. I was like when I was a little kid in every like a Christmas holidays, it's like a bunch of kids singing like one at a time. They had everyone had their share of singing. So that's
Was music like encouraged a lot in your schools? Because I think it's Sweden, right, where I know they encourage the students. Was that the same way in Finland growing up?
I didn't gather.
Like, was it music encouraged in the schools, like to play instruments and stuff? Because I think it's Sweden where they encourage the students to actually like be
Yeah,
involved musically.
yeah, we had some like on the I don't is it upper sec low I don't know from the seventh grade to and up we had these drum sets and electric guitars in a music class, but I wasn't. I can't remember I was doing them. I sang on some like school this kind of end of semester sort of things. I remember singing on some of those, but never in the school bands actually like proper. It was more like a uh, from 13 to 14 years old when we started to have these prog rock bands with the friends of mine. Then we played like everywhere else, but not in school. The school music was too like normal to us, yeah, and we wanted to do the the weird stuff.
That's one thing I've found. So you were actually like, so for people who don't know, you actually didn't get into the whole metal thing, right, until your 20s. You were actually really into psychedelic rock and like the prog, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was like yeah. It started. I think it started with the Doors. It was like I was 12 when I found the Doors, and since I that was the first band I realized I want to have every single album like in my collection. This is the like art. Music is art, not just like some random songs and stuff. And then it's like really quickly came Pink Floyd, King Crimson, Yes, Emerson Lake and Palmer, that kind of stuff. That was my and of course some Finnish bands, Big Vam, Tasavallan Presidentti, all that stuff. But that was my like teenage first teenage years were just like that, and it was like
And then you evolved more into punk, right? You got into the real, was it Finnish hardcore punk and stuff?
yeah. I had this schoolmate of mine who became like a really close friend and a bandmate like through the years after that. But he was a punk kid, and I was this prog rock hippie kid, and we kind of started the cultural exchange when we were in high school. I was 17. We were both 17 years old, and he was really like this kind of a like prog rock socks and all that stuff. So I started to give him the Doors, Jethro Tull, and all that stuff like more rock, not that more maybe more like darker stuff. And he started to like borrow me some Finnish early 80s hardcore, Terveet kädet, Rattus, Riistetyt, Lama, all that kind of stuff. So we kind of yeah, we changed records, and it was I think it was less than a year after that we actually formed our first hardcore punk band together, and we've had a hardcore punk band from then, at least one band going on ever since.
And you mentioned the Doors. What was your? I'm actually a big Doors guy as a kid too. What's your favorite Doors record?
That's a hard one because I think the Doors is a band with several perfect records, but I think Strange Days is the most loved one because that was the first one I heard as a whole. Strange Days.
Is that 67? Strange Days, right? I think.
Yeah. Because the first three records there, all I think they were released in '67. I think the debut might have been like 66, recorded 66, but I think the first three they were all 67 records. But Strange Days, the self-titled debut, and LA Woman. I think those are the perfect ones. But the Strange Days, because of that was the first love. I think that's if I had to choose one.
LA Woman I thought was great. It was very bluesy, obviously, and just very I don't know how to just very. It's probably their most. I hate to say rock album, but that was pretty much I think their strongest rock record. I actually even liked the Soft Parade. I thought the song Soft Parade was just a great song too.
Yeah. It used to be the only one I thought that wasn't perfect. I think still there's this. I can't remember the name of the song. This Robbie Krieger song, like singing, "Hey, oh, look at my shoes," you know. That's the only one I felt like annoying, like really annoying song because of that part. But like you said, Soft Parade, Wishful Sinful, Touch Me, like even it's a big hit. It's still like a fantastic song. So I think the Soft Parade. The biggest problem is the production. They kind of produced it almost to death, like getting getting rid of the crunchy.
There's no edge to that record. I know what you're saying.
That's the only problem, I think. But it's like throughout the years, I can say that I don't love it. I love it as well. So it's the only the Doors albums that I don't actually like consider to be the Doors albums like that I don't care about are the ones after Morrison's death. But I think that's the different band.
Yeah, they had Ashbury singing for them from the Cult, I believe, at one time, and I don't know who else sang with them, but I do know Ashbury was with them for a while.
Yeah, but that makes more sense than those first two those two albums they recorded like with Manzarek on vocals.
Yeah,
that's kind of a I haven't even bothered to listen to them in full, here and there, but I think that's not the band anymore, so it doesn't.
I think I only heard those once, like when Morrison wasn't on them. That was pretty much it for me.
Yeah,
I think with that, but yeah, definitely, I definitely dig the Doors too, and and growing up in Finland, right? It's basically like I don't want to say 90. It's predominantly Christian, right? But there's also like a huge interest in like the paganism and the Finnish mythology. Now I know, like with you, do you actually? Like you're all about the flesh. I've always read. Like you're about do you follow the mythology? Do you put that into is that like a thing for you?
Not the mythology as a system. There's also this kind of thing that Finnish mythology is. There's no, even though there's like some parts like Kalevala, the book. It has like sort of a system, this kind of characters and all that stuff, but that's not like the natural product of the. It's actually like it's a book written by a guy who just collected poems and it mostly actually stole them from the Karelians.
So that was Elias. What is it? Elias Lönnrot?
Elias Lönnrot, yeah.
Did he also do the 18? What was it? The Magic Songs for Finns?
Yeah. He was just kind of he was doing lots of like collecting stuff and publishing them in different forms. But it was Kalevala, for example. It's a part of the whole movement of the 19th century where this they wanted to have every like a proper nation should have their own, you know, historical and mythological background and all that stuff. And Finnish language was still like developing, like as a official language. There were different dialects that didn't. Some were closer, some were farther from each other, and then there's this another language, Karelian language, which isn't Finnish, but most of the Kalevala stuff is actually originally Karelian, but the Lönnrot translated them into the Finnish to make this kind of this is the Finnish epic, you know. So it was kind of this kind of a political motives behind the whole thing, and it ended being really influential for the whole like phenomenon, you know. This we need to have Finland as an independent nation and all that stuff, and have the like official language of Finnish, which wasn't the case in the 19th century. It was like Finnish, it was Swedish, the official language of the priests and all the, you know, politicians. They were either Swedish or some were local Russian. So it was it did the trick, but the whole thing that it's kind of there's artificial kind of a trait characteristics in it. So it's kind of it's the same way with all the religions, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's a there's some obviously something they're referring to, something real, but it transformed into that kind of a like simplified or this kind of man-made concepts. It kind of gets some, it lacks some like actual like essence to me. So I feel I'm interested in the mythological aspects. I'm interested in the practices of the like the ancient Finns or ancient Karelians and all that stuff. But it's I realize that there's no way to like even grasping the old like the original ways of doing that. So it's I don't bother too much with the you know, praying the same gods they did or anything like that. But it's more like I'm interested in the whole spectrum of like spiritual and like obviously pagan, heathen, these kind of different roots. But it's like nothing I want to commit to. It's I want to separate myself on any system and be just like my own way.
How important? Because I noticed, like watching some of your videos, like how important is your connection with nature? Because I know if you look at like the Hail Conjurer videos for like Earth Penetration or Serpent Sword Flame or even Anima, I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
Like there's all of them that kind of have that. They're all, the setting is basically like outdoors, maybe like wooded. Or how important is that to you, the nature aspect?
The nature is everything for me. It's like my whole worldview is sort of ecocentric. So I think since I turn like I don't say any age, but like my whole adult age has been like a totally ecocentric like point of view. So so nature is everything, and I mean it's like I don't know, like in a personal level, I love nature, like different like these natural types of like different parts of nature, Finnish nature. Like I have the personal connection to some places, and that stuff. But also there's because of the worldview, there's also this a little bit bitterness and sadness and all that. So I don't I don't live in the I live in the big city, in a Finnish perspective at least, the biggest Finnish city there is. So luckily I have there are some like natural nice nature places just around the corner. I love to be connected to the local nature, but it's also kind of a, like I said, there's a sadness and a bitterness about the whole thing, that there's not much left. It does most of that. Most of it's just like a relic, like fragments, and sorry about the dog, but
Oh no, no problem.
yeah,
Dog's welcome. What's the dog's name? We'll welcome the dog to the show.
yeah. Dog's name is Hekla.
What's up there, Hecla? I always wonder actually too, as people, you get older, as we all get older, and as people are parents and all them, when you look at the world, and I know myself, I'm in my 40s now, and as I look at it, it just gets more depressing and more depressing in a way. And it's like you kind of wonder. I always think when it gets to be that time in life when you get really old and it's time to go, maybe you don't. You're just so tired of what you've seen, and just it doesn't. It's just it's a wear on the brain. Basically, you get kind of worn out, and I can see how when you get really old and you start losing the people that you have surrounded yourself with your whole life, it's just as you mentioned, like being around big cities, especially, or being around, tons of just what we see every day now, especially, the way the world is the last, say, 10 years, which has gotten even crazier. It just gets old, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I try to find the cynic part in me, like, because I I don't like this kind of cynical or nihilistic, like the edgy nihilistic, like nothing matters, so all the stuff. I try to fight that, because I don't see the point in it. But I was when I was younger, like say in my 20s, I was pretty pretty active in a nature, like protection groups, like forest protection and all that stuff, like activist way of doing. But and I don't know. It's like I think it's sometimes I feel like that I should be doing still some of that, but it's at the same time it's also pretty tiring, and seeing how little you can actually do about it, like in a global perspective. So it's kind of I think it's I've turned the whole thing more inwards. It's more about the, like, with the art. With art, I can deal with the themes. I can, like, in my own relationship. I can go more into that, and more personal and all this stuff. It doesn't. I see it doesn't make any. I'm not doing any music or art because I want to, like, have make any difference in the actual world. But I think for me personally, it's something that I mostly deal with the all that kind of the losses, and all this stuff. But it's
Do
not
you live?
that concrete. Yeah.
Do you live a vegan? I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but are you vegan? You live a vegan lifestyle?
Yeah. At least when considering like the food and all stuff, it's been like 16 years now. So it's but I'm not I'm careful about the whole vegan, the word vegan, because I know I'm not the Puritan one. I wear leather, secondhand leather and all that stuff. So I don't have these ideas of, like, of the world that without any, death or suffering. But it's just like that's something that is important for me to actually to have some sort of uh, what is it called in English? Some sort of code. I need to.
For yourself, yeah,
Yeah,
just how you
I
want
need
to.
to. Yeah, that's something I don't want to be part of. the animal industry. So that's kind of a thing. I the only way for me.
Um, that's totally cool. And back to the music, I guess. So you like you obviously you were into the progressive and the psychedelic. The first time you actually really got into rock, like at all, even at a young age, was basically what you heard. You watched the VHS tape from Dio, The Last in Line.
Yeah, those were the not made. I don't think it was the actual first, but those were the when I was say like 9 years old or something like that. 10 when we're like me and my brother were actively listening to my father's records, and there was this VHS of this Dio Last in Line tour, and I think that was the first ones that struck me as an image. Like I remember, like this is like really cool, and I was watching over and over again these drum solos, uh, like on the pyramid, all that stuff. That was like the coolest thing you can find as a small kid, like rock.
Did you also get into Peter Criss and stuff too, like the whole Kiss thing?
Um, I was I wasn't I wasn't that much into Kiss. I like being a 10-year-old and like painting painting the cat face on me. You know, I had that face, but I never like started collecting Kiss records or anything like that. So it was like I was seeing I was liking the hit songs and all that stuff, but never like developed any like deeper knowledge. Of course, ever since like in the adulthood, I've like been listening to more of those albums as well. But like it was one of those like cool things for kids, but never like got too deep into the whole Kiss
Yeah,
fandom.
they are kind of the gateway drug, I think, into the whole. When
Yeah,
you're little, you first see the face paint and stuff.
yeah,
And I think, and another, what's fascinating about you too is so. First of all, I'm going to ask you when you picked up your first instrument, but you're not like it's. I've heard some interviews with you. I've read some stuff. Like you play instruments. I mean, you play drums, guitar. You pretty much do everything, but you're not someone who likes to sit down and just rehearse, or you're not like you don't care. I think I want to say you still play the old Stratocaster guitar you had from like 11 years old.
yeah,
Is this all like I'll let you.
yeah. I think it was always with the music. It wasn't like being better at playing. It was more like always about creating. That was the whole thing. Like from the day one, I wanted to create stuff. So it was I've always found it boring to practice. I don't practice even if I don't have to. I only practice when I don't know how to do something, and there's like a gig or record sessions coming up, and I need to like get it like onto it. So the Strat you mentioned, that was my first electric guitar. I got it. I got from like I was 11 years old or something like that, and I had some like acoustic guitar with the nylon strings, not even the metal strings, but the nylon string one. But that wasn't quite the instrument, if you wanna play, you know, weird and harsh electric music. But it like I only had like I don't know handful, half a dozen like guitar lessons. It was like not like official school or anything like that. There was this guy who used to my teacher, my elementary school teacher, had the guy teach her son guitar, and I got the contact with the guy, and I remember he brought me some Guitar World magazines, and we were like starting with the Metallica's Creeping Death, and I learned the first riff, and then the second, and then I got bored. I never learned the whole song. I was just like, I don't want to like play other people's songs. I just wanted to like create music of my own. The only times I've actually played full, like some other people's songs in full, where when we were doing them in gigs, or where we were doing like recording them. I I can fairly say I never played like a full song of anyone else's unless it's being recorded or played live. So it's a that's kind of a mentality, and that's why I'm not like really good at anything. It's I'm good enough to do and execute my own ideas and some others people's ideas if I'm in the band that someone else is doing the songwriting. But when it comes to the playing instruments, I mainly suck on every one of them, but don't suck too much. I suck enough.
And you still record with that guitar?
Yeah. I've got a couple of Squire Strats. One is borrowed, and one is the mentioned one. I usually record with the same one. I There's some electricity problems now because I never maintained it like properly. So I think I need to change some potentiometers or something like that. But never done it before. So that's the thing. I'm now at the age of almost 39. I'm on the, I need to do that first time in my life.
And your first band, I saw, I'm going to probably pronounce this name wrong. Was this Dalin Estevet?
Yeah, Dalin Ystävät was the first like a serious band. Before that, there was this couple of, like I said, the elementary school bands. But we recorded demo tapes, but I don't say the names of them because they're not anywhere. But the Dalin Ystävät was the first band that we did the demo tape that we actually sold to people, and we played actual gigs. That was the first band starting to playing like gigs, not only at the school, school hall, but to go to some venues. And we were basically uh, like underage. I remember we played one gig in Joutseno that was only for the like above 18 years old. So we all were like 15 or 16. So we could play the gig, and we had to leave because they were serving alcohol. They couldn't have us there. We were playing some with Dalin stuff. Like I think we played Pink Floyd Interstellar Overdrive as a cover version. We just like had like 20 minutes of improvisational like noise, and then we played Pink Floyd's Interstellar Overdrive. But yeah, Dalinus was the first one. We never got to record like album or anything. We tried in 2006. That was already like several years after the band kind of had split up, and we weren't doing any gigs anymore. But we had this idea that we should probably put the stuff on the album, and we started the recording sessions, and they should still exist somewhere, the backing tracks, but we never got to finish the whole thing. And then the guy who was engineering the sessions, his computer like fell down, but I think he said there's still this kind of a hard drive somewhere with the 2006 backing tracks. So, but that was the most professional we almost got. But we recorded 40 no, like 70 minutes demo tape, demo CDR actually, with a full of psychedelics and ambience and all the stuff, jazz, and some couple of like live recordings. But it was like distributed as the CDRs, that time.
And you first got into black metal, what, around 23, 22?
Yeah, I think it must be something like that. It was when I moved to Helsinki, because when I lived few years in Jyväskylä in central Finland after Joutseno when I started studying in university, and during those years it was my life was basically just this studying in university and also this uh, environmental group activism. So I kind of quit all the music for a few years, But when I moved to Helsinki, I kind of started to reactivating, and we reactivated the punk band and all that stuff. And at that time, I kind of started to like explore more metal, like in general. With the punk band, I used to listen some thrash, some death metal. They kind of like fit together. They were the same
What
thing.
was it, like Sodom, maybe Sepultura?
Yeah, Sodom, Sepultura, both. Yeah, those especially the favorite ones. And then some like, of course, like Cannibal Corpse and all that stuff. That was like pretty basic.
Early Napalm Death, probably like
Yeah,
that whole.
yeah. That's kind of a basic stuff. But after that, when I started to, and I started to know always also, I got to know like the people that came to be my bandmates in Horse Latitudes, and they were more into the underground metal stuff, and I kind of that kind of opened my eyes the whole thing, because I was in the punk, I was in the this kind of stuff, but then I started to dig into the doom metal, black metal, and all that, and it was the black metal was, I think it was that at that time that I like first time seriously listened to, for example, like Bursum. That was
Burzum, yeah.
yeah, because that was a
Beharit, probably.
drawing down the moon.
Behexen, maybe.
Not actually, not those like the newer ones. It was more I think Beherit was Beherit was one of the first. And drawing down the moon, like immediately, I kind of realized that this isn't just like heavy metal stuff. This is something more artistic, more like deeper stuff. And the same thing with Bursum was as well, because when I was a kid, I was this kind of a hippie teenager in Joutseno. Uh, uh, I remember there, of course, there was this Cradle Filth. Dimmu Borgir was a thing back then. You could see like teenagers wearing those kind of big band T-shirts, and I wasn't interested in the whole thing or the music nor the image at that time. And I only had the name Burzum, and I kind of I think at that time I didn't even listen to, when I was like a younger one. I didn't even listen to properly Burzum or any of those black metal. I kind of thought that was just this plastic like teenage black metal stuff or something like that. But as an adult, like you said, 23 or something like that, then I kind of when I listened to them, I realized that this is nothing I was actually thinking them to be. It was like nothing plastic in it, nothing like shallow, just deep and really art. How art
Well,
is.
it's funny you mentioned Beharit, and I even with some of your projects, like with the Hail Conjurer and stuff. Beharit was a band like the early, like it was really nasty and heavy, and then they started doing like a whole different thing for a little bit, and it was kind of like you kind of didn't know what you were going to get sometimes with that band. Like, and we'll talk about that with Hail Conjurer. Like something was a little, every album's a little different. So I could see that influence a lot. And you mentioned Horse Latitudes, which was the first, that was the first band I became familiar with you with. And you guys formed in 2009, right? So was it, so I don't want to, Heidi, and I don't want to pronounce his name wrong,
Vellu.
Vellu. And how did you get involved with them?
I got to know Heidi, and Vellu was a longtime friend of Heidi's, and they actually had kind of put the band together. Not that they had any band practices, but they had the concept ready when I got to know Heidi, because they were both bass players. They had the idea of, if I remember right, it was the idea of playing Hellhammer as Earth would have played in Earth 2, Hellhammer riffs with two bass guitars, like droney Hellhammer. That was their first.
Yeah, because there was no guitars, right? They just tuned different, right? Each bass was tuned different.
Yeah, two different bass guitars, but just a distorted bass, like droney, but like they had this reference about like Hellhammer riffs played really slow and drony. And I had just started playing drums with another one of those hardcore punk bands that actually never released properly anything, but it was the same guy that we had in Joutseno, the punk bands, and the same guy with whom I made we started Perikato later on, uh, and and it was the time I had moved to Helsinki. I started instead of guitar, I started playing drums in both this hardcore band and also um, Heidi and Bello asked if I wanted to join as a drummer in the Horse Latitudes. It wasn't named that. It doesn't have a name.
I was going to ask you, did you come up with that name? Because I know we all obviously it's a Doors tune from the '67 record, but also it's also for those who don't know. Do you want to explain what it actually is?
Yeah, it was a horse. It was a Doors track from Strange Days, and it's not actually like a musical piece. It was a poem with this noise, and it was about these latitudes where the winds like died, and they had to these big ships couldn't move forward, so they had to get rid of the horses.
Push
So
them into the ocean. Yeah.
yeah, so throwing these horses that will drown. That was called the horse attitudes, and we kind of Velu or Heidi. They neither one of those. They weren't Doors fans, so I had to I had to make a pick. Why to choose this name for the band? But we had the same the so I wrote the lyrics for the and the music for the song with the same name, and the name the idea of the song was that we kind of use it as a metaphor of the this uh, decline of mankind. We're not when the storm comes, it's not anymore the horses that will be thrown, you know
Be you, yeah.
yeah, but
People.
it will be us. It's like now it's our time, and the storm has risen and all that stuff. So it kind of came like a metaphor for this apocalyptic, doom sort of thing. So it was a good. I think it's a good name because it doesn't reek, the the heavy metal aesthetics.
And
It's
it sounds different when you hear the vocals that you were doing. It just was different, the whole because you guys all had different influences, right? You because Heidi was into like the death metal. She was
yeah,
pretty much the old like to the death metal, and you were into obviously the psychedelic, the hardcore, and stuff like that. And you guys basically found a way to like what channel the all the influences into one.
yeah, and of course some like Heidi and Vel were really into the doom metal stuff, like really into that underground doom. So yeah, definitely. I think that was the main things that made it sometimes hard for people to categorize because it wasn't like the genre wasn't that clear. Obviously, there was this doom influence there, but there was at least the same amount of like this drony psychedelic stuff and also black metal. So it was all together, and the whole singing thing. At first, I think it was supposed to be an instrumental band, but then we started to write the songs that needed some vocals, and I was the only one who actually was like willing to do that. But there was it was like at the first was a pretty weird thing to do because I was playing drums and singing at the same time. So that's like, okay, we do this now.
Yeah, I think I had read. I think Avulo said that it was like basically the idea at first of the band was to like play like I think it was ritualistic, slow, and primitive metal stripped down, basically, right? Just the instruments.
Yeah,
Um, and you guys did that, and you like I said, you have all different tastes. Um, and you guys never even thought about finding a guitar player. It just was never even a thought.
yeah. I think from the start it was because it was like band of two bass players who founded the band. It was kind of they had this idea that we don't need a fucking guitar player. They was like this is a bass band, you know. and getting to the bare bones, the whole riffing thing. No solos or anything. These kind of heavy metal cliches. And but later on, this guy Antti from Caskets Open, he joined us because we started to putting some like at first some keyboard stuff and then more synthesizer stuff. So instead of like making the sound fuller with the normal 6-string guitar, we started to exploring more with the synth keyboard stuff, and so that was a natural way. And like you said, like you noticed that the bass guitars were tuned differently, so there was already a pretty rich texture. It wasn't just like the same two basses playing the same exactly the same note, but they were developing the kind of a like chords played, when they played together.
In 2010, you guys did your demo. Did you write all the lyrics on that? Were you pretty much the lyric guy for the band at that time? And what were the
I
rehearsals like?
yeah, I think on that one I did all the lyrics. Sometimes Vello did some lyrics and Heidi did also. I think Heidi did the Seas of Saturn on the debut album Gathering, and Vello did some songs and some parts of the songs. But it it wasn't like decided that I will be the lyricist, but it was just how it happened. Maybe because I was
You
singing.
guys,
So, yeah.
you guys were handling the artwork together too, weren't everybody, right? You guys was a very hands-on. It seemed like everybody was doing different parts. Like I noticed there was a lot when you opened up the records and stuff. There was a lot of little art pieces and stuff. And I know Heidi does artwork, but you
Yeah.
guys were all doing that early. I think the first demo was actually done by Volo, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the first album cover art was by me, and then Velu again for Awakening, and then Heidi. But yeah, everyone was doing like I was the least talented of when it comes to the visual arts because Heidi is a like ultra professional, like she has her own style. But Velu was also more into the graphic, like this kind of printing techniques and all that stuff and details. But yeah, we all had this kind of a idea of having really like strong graphic part as well, not just the music, but the whole like every record should be like a piece of art within the package and all the stuff as well.
In 2010, you're also playing in that band you mentioned earlier, Perikato, if I'm saying it correct. Punk, it was kind of like a hardcore punk band.
Yeah,
And that what is that destruction in Finnish? That means
sorry.
the name is that band name means destruction in Finnish.
It's not destruction, but more like a downfall or yeah, downfall or what is the other word? Decline. Yeah, downfall or decline. You know this Oswald Spengler's Decline of the West,
Hmm.
the book. Yeah, the decline. The in Finnish is perikato, on the same. So it's the same word as like Untergang in German. It's the same word.
Okay, and what was the punk? What was some of your punk influences? We're actually going to play a song from that band here in a second, Perikato. But what was some of your punk influences?
Obviously the early '80s stuff I mentioned earlier. They were like the that was the background for all the hardcore stuff I've been doing. But for Perikato, even though at the first band rehearsal the idea was to play more like this anti-Cimex sort of maybe Scandi hardcore stuff, but because of my style of playing drums wasn't that. It was more chaotic and more this kind of a cavemanish, then it evolved within a couple of rehearsals. It evolved in something different, and then we kind of realized that there was lots of influence of this like mid '90s Finnish punk, hardcore punk, like Kirous, which was actually one of the the only band from Joutseno, from the same town I grew up. There was this a bit older guys than us, but me and the singer of Perikato, the aforementioned good friend. We both were worshipping what they were doing. Both Kiros and also Catastrophe Alor, which was from the town next to. The Kiros, they had also this drummer who was really chaotic, really like nothing like you've heard before, but more like just not even playing normal beats, but more like a constant filling, like Keith Moon gone to hardcore,
So you guys lasted what 2010 to 2018. You guys did shows. I know, like you guys actually did a bunch of shows. I've seen a bunch of the video footage online. And you guys it just ended just pretty much 8 years, and that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah. We recorded one demo tape and a couple of like 7 inches, and because the songs were really short and fast, the song
The one we're going to play is like a minute long. We're going to play Kovat Ajat, if I'm
Kovat,
saying it right, the title track off of the
it's called Kovat,
2013.
Kovat Ajat. It,
See.
it means hard. It means hard times. It means
Yes.
hard times. So there was also this kind of a political commentary on that band, and it was after we recorded the only full length Kuka hyötyy, which means who profits. After that, we kind of thought that we done the things with the band that we couldn't know. Like there wasn't any artistic horizons sort of not to be explored anymore. I think we kind of had it all. But when we were 2016, late 2016, we were touring for the debut album, and then this guy Pentti Dassum, who's a legendary artist and sound engineer, nowadays doing mostly harsh noise stuff. He recorded the gig from that tour, and it was and he just mixed it without even us asking about him to do that, and he mixed it and sent us. If you want to hear, I recorded your show and mixed it. And the whole thing with the band was that the live gigs were that was the essence of the band. Like we had the records, but the live was always the thing that people who were listening to that were like, this is the real how Perikato sounds like. And we heard the live recording and we decided, okay, this is it. This is the last record, and we're finished. Like this is the testament of the band. So we released as a single-sided 12-inch, like a small, like I don't know, 250 copies or something like that. And that was the story of the band.
We're going to play I'll let you pronounce this again. We're going to play off the 2013 EP, the title track Kovat. How do you say it again so I don't mess it up?
Kovat Ajat.
We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue right after this track. There you go. That was Perikato off the 2013 EP. And returning back to Horse Latitudes, now you guys would do the 2010 demo, as we mentioned. Then you guys would follow it up with The Gathering.
Yeah.
So when was the first Horse Latitudes show, actually?
The first Horse Latitudes show was in December 2009, if I recall right. It was the year of formation, and was the only gig we played the demo tracks. We played the demo in full. That was the whole thing. It was a show I organized myself. It was in Helsinki. It was this kind of a squat sort of place, social center place, and we had different bands from hardcore to sludge to play there. Pretty nice lineup, and it was a. I organized a couple of gigs there with a hardcore band, and then with this, and actually, the hardcore band before Perikato played there as well with Horse Latitudes. But that was the first gig. It was just like, I don't know, maybe 40 people in a room of this squat sort of place, and after that, I think it took almost a year till the next gig, and it was we recorded the gathering, the album Gathering. In the meantime, we changed the tuning of the bass guitars, so that's why we didn't play the demo songs anymore, because they were tuned differently. And I think the next we played, we might have played another gig, but it was already this warm up for Saint Vices for their first Finnish gig. Saint Vices came to play, and Hooded Menace played there as well. I didn't even know the guys back then, but there was like one of their first gigs at that time. So it was a pretty cool lineup. There was also Swallowed playing there as well. So it was a pretty legendary night. So yeah, we didn't play that much gigs. Like, yeah, I think within a year, just the 2 gigs, the first one and then Saint Vices warm up.
And you guys recorded the Gathering in your old Yotenza, right? That's where you guys did a lot of recording there.
Yeah, because in Yotseno there was this sports hall sort of thing. They had this sports upstairs, and downstairs was this kind of a rehearsal place slash studio. It was studio made by the people who played there. I think early Right for Revenge even recorded there before I was in the band, and so it was a place that local bands used to record their stuff, and the engineer was an old friend of us, and he was the guy who actually recorded all the Horse Latitude stuff, and he used to work there at that time. So Gathering, Awakening, the second album, a half of Black Soil, they were all recorded in Joutseno. Yeah.
Yeah, and you obviously you mentioned Hooded Menace. So 2012, you guys obviously did the split with them, and the song you actually used off of that was "Flame of Will," which actually was recorded during the Awakening sessions, right? But it was the song stood out on its own, and that's
Yeah.
why you guys used it on the. First of all, how did Lassie approach you guys? How did he become familiar with you guys?
If I remember right, Lasse just wrote me. Um, I he might have wanted to buy Gathering. I think at least we were doing some like trades or something like that. And at the same time, he was just asking that they were doing like recording some material for the split. So if you wanted to do a split with them, and that was, of course, we were listening to Hooded Menace at that time, all of us, and that was actually the starting point for Dementia Records.
I was going to ask you that. Is that how you got kind of hooked up with them from the Hooded Menace relationship?
Yeah, because they already had Dementia to do the split even before they didn't have the other band for the split. So when Dementia released the split album or EP, whatever, to one song from each band, that was I can't remember if we asked Lucas from Dementia or he asked us, but there was like a pretty fast, like, okay, we're gonna do the next album on Dementia, and they released a couple of other ones as well after that. Yeah, one album, one split. Yeah.
And Flame of Will, that was like when you guys recorded that the Awakening record. Did you guys know that that song wasn't going to go, like it was going to go on to the split right when you got the material written? Or
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think it was already planned. I'm, I'm pretty sure about that. Not like 100%, but I'm pretty sure it was already planned to be like maybe even like decided with Lasse that we're gonna do that. Yeah.
did you guys notice after that release? Because I mean, back during 2012, Hooded Menace was kind of like this name that everyone, it was kind of on the underground, it was becoming a thing. Like,
Yeah.
did you guys notice for Horse Latitudes the band started getting more, I guess you would say, a following after that split in 2012?
Perhaps. Yeah. I definitely reached for the more wide audiences because the first album was only released as a CD first on Aurora Borealis, which was a really pretty cool UK label, but they were doing really underground stuff, like different styles. They didn't have this kind of a, like for example, compared to Doomensha, which had more this underground metal stuff. But Aurora Borealis was also doing lots of different styles, not just metal. So I think with the Doomensha and their this distribution, I think the metal audience perhaps got to know Horse Latitudes better. But yeah, but I don't know. I'm not because I'm not pretty. We never were that big. It was more like we had the following. We had these people who were buying our records, come to shows and writing us, but it wasn't like the big phenomena at any point. So it was I don't think it ever changed too much because there was still some odd characteristics in it. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to you, Harry, probably about 2 weeks ago about, you actually back in the, you were sending me from Finland to the United States to Florida. I was picking up the records from you personally. I still have the letters you were sending with them.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I was going through my stuff and I was I actually was telling you about this, but yeah, you were shipping them out there. And it was kind of like, yeah, I'm trying to remember how exactly I heard of you guys. To be honest, it might have been right when that split came out.
Yeah.
Because I had, I had the Hooded Menace stuff already. But yeah, I mean, and are actually going to play a song off of Awakening now, off the 2012 record called "Decline of the Ages." Is there anything you could share with us about this song before we play it, or?
That was actually the only song on the album that actually took the final form in the studio. It was the main riff at least was written by Vellu and with a like some lyrical part he wanted to include in it, and I kind of I filled the lyrics. I wrote the other lyrics, but even though we had rehearsed the song, we didn't have the final form before the studio, which was really different to the way we're doing, like mainly because usually we rehearsed everything like as it will be before the studio, but that was the only song that we didn't have the final form before the studio. But I think it turned out pretty nice, and because it has the more dynamics perhaps than the other songs on the album.
We're going to play it now. This is Horse Latitudes off the Awakening 2012 record called "Decline of the Ages." We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue right after this song. There you go. That was Decline of the Ages from Horse Latitudes off the 2012 Awakening record. So in 2013, you guys put out the Black Soil album, and some of that the guitar riffs for that they date back to like what 2010. You guys had some of those already from previous years.
Oh, what? I didn't hear.
The guitar, some of the guitar riffs on that album, they were from like when you guys first started jamming
Uh,
for the Black Soil record.
Let me think.
Because that's what Ed told me. I don't know much.
Uh, there might have been some. Yeah, actually, the name Black Soil was it was even older stuff. It was it was totally different. It was totally different kind of song. So the name Black Soil came from really like early stages, but we
It
changed.
was supposed to be an instrumental, right? Black Soil was actually supposed to be on a previous as an instrumental on Awakening, right?
Yeah. So the whole concept of Black Soil like was even older. It was like from the very like first year of Horse Latitudes, but then we had this kind of instrumental version. Yeah, now when you reminded me about it, we recorded instrumental version, which was totally different with different riffs. But the instrumental version, it was more like a droney, atmospheric, like interlude sort of song. It was quite long. I think it was like 5 to 6 minutes, but it was like instrumental with a really like a slow tempo and dreamy dreamy atmosphere. But then we kind of just wrote the lyrics and made it like it was like more this. I think one of the heaviest riffs perhaps in this kind of a metal way we had played like before that. Yeah, so with all those double kick drums and all that stuff, so it became totally different thing within the Black Soil.
And who did the spoken word on that for on the Forest
uh, it was Sami Albert Hynninen, which
from the Pussies, the rock band? You
yeah,
guys
but
were-
he was at that time he wasn't uh, Pussies didn't exist, but he was, you know, Albert Witchfinder from Reverend Bizarre.
Mhm.
He's the guy. He's the main guy of Reverend Bizarre. Their vocalist and main songwriter. So he's the same guy. So
Okay, so
we knew.
and
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
we knew him, and we had some ideas of like collaborating. Even with it was already when Gathering came out, he was supposed to do the song Gathering with us on a Saint Vitus warm up gig, but it didn't. Like there was some other plans as well, but they didn't, just because not because of us, but because of the venue and all that stuff. We couldn't do that. So ever since from because Sami was liking what we were doing from the first demo, and he was kind of a he yeah that was we had been talking that he would collaborate with us at some point, and then we had this spoken word, and we
Because I think he's involved in like a lot of like electronic synth projects, isn't he? Like experimental stuff also.
he's done like lots of stuff. His main band nowadays is Opium Warlords.
Warlord.
He's a solo band after Reverend Bizarre, but it's like a he and nowadays he's been doing lots of electronic noise stuff, but also he's a man of like 100 different bands and projects. He's like always creating stuff.
And do you feel like on the Black Soil is that when you think Horse Latitudes really kind of found like the sound, like what you guys were trying to from the first couple records?
Yeah, I think it culminates the idea in many way. I think there are like both the doom, but also the ritualistic aspects of it. But yeah, there are still some imperfections on that record that like sound wise, that I don't point them to you because that's pointless. But like every, I think every album there's some like things. If I wanted to make like the album that act like this the perfect Horse Latitudes album, I would take some parts or elements from all the albums that like we succeeded with, but it was also like within every single album we had such a like tight budget, like not that much time, so it was a it sounded like it sounded because how it sounded like on that particular time, but yeah. But I
Can you tell?
Black Soil is maybe the most coherent album of us. Yeah,
And you also, can you tell us about the church organs on that? Because you actually went to a real church,
yeah,
and was it? I'll let you explain.
yeah. Joutseno, yeah, like the hometown of mine, where we were recording the stuff. We had recorded the bass tracks in Tampere, where that was a studio that our engineer used to like make his day work at that time, but because the studio was too expensive for us to do like several days. We only had a couple of days to do the bass tracks there, drums and bass guitars, and then we uh, did all the synth and all that like additional stuff in the Otsano. And we wanted to have the organ sound on that song, and also the split for Atomic Cries. We recorded the same sessions, the song. We wanted to have church organ sound as well, and at that time we weren't that much into just getting this sample of church organ from the basic keyboards, but we wanted to have either the like proper analog synth or the real thing. So I called the Church of Joutseno if we could just go there and record the organs, and because it's such a small town, and we were okay. We are doing a record for the international record label. They were like, "Oh wow, like this is a real deal." But then I got the cantor on the phone. I had to call him to make the arrangements, and he was more enlightened about the like a currents of underground music, and he started to asking questions about. I need to ask you guys, this isn't about Satan worship, isn't it? Because if it is, I can let you do that. But luckily, as you know, Horse Latitudes was never about like this kind of
Satanic.
satanic concepts or anything like that. More like a, I was telling the cantor that it's more like a like primitive and somehow like dark philosophical themes, which was the case. And he was okay, yeah, I can do that. And then we had to borrow a microphone, a good microphone from the local band guy. He had the stereo mics, but the other one was broken, so we only had to use one. And then we went to church, and they just opened us the door. And you know how to play organs? We're like, yeah, I think we can figure it out. And they just opened the door and like lock it when you leave. You have a couple of.
Did you guys know how to play it all, or was it just pretty much like improv?
No, Velu had played some. I don't know, maybe not church organ before, but some like stuff. So Velu was just like trying. Okay, now we get the sound, and he figured it out pretty fast. In the meantime, we were setting up the mics, so we just set up the mic on the room, and Velu was playing the playing the organs. I was also for the Atomic Cry split. I also did some vocals in the same church because the acoustics was so good, and the natural reverb was so good. So we did some parts of the vocals at the same spot as well. So
And you guys actually did give credit inside the album liner notes too
yeah,
for the Black Soil. So
yeah. The funny story is that like after several years after that, the church sold the organs, but because the organs they're so big and heavy and difficult to move. They set the price at €1 if you just take it away, you know.
If you oh, nice.
So that and because of we had mentioned that the organs were used in the record. There was this big indie metal magazine in Finland that was doing the web edition. They even had the news. You want to buy the organs used on the Horse Latitudes record? Now it's your chance to get it for €1. You know?
Did you ever find out who bought it?
I don't know. I doubt anyone bought it. I think at one point they were just going to give them away, maybe some like a
Just carry it out if you can.
small Russian town or something like that. But I don't know because it's a I don't know how much, but I doubt it's cheap to get those away and in a good condition at least.
Those things are heavy.
Yeah.
So that's great. And in 2013, you also started playing drums with Ride for Revenge,
Yeah.
which was an experimental black metal band. So you actually knew Sam from that band since your 20s when you guys used to do shows together?
Yeah, we didn't know each other like really well, but because Sami was he was a really prolific like underground guy from Lappeenranta, from actually Imatra, which was a town next to Joutseno and Lappeenranta, and he lived in Lappeenranta at some point. So we were going to the same gigs, and we played. He had this groovy grindcore band called Irritate, and we played some like gigs with them. And he had like he's always had some labels. Nowadays he's running the Bestial Burst, which releases both Hail Conjurer and Ride for Revenge. But he used to have this label called Hostile Regression, which was more like grindcore, really, and a really like underground nasty stuff. And so he was the guy to buy records from, or underground thrash metal, or like really underground death metal. So he's like 10 years older than me. So when I was in my 20s, he had already been doing like lots of stuff. He was singing Catastrophe Alue, and so he was kind of a figure, you know, for a young guy. But wasn't until I moved to Helsinki, and Sami lived in Helsinki as well, and he was running a label from his home, and I sometimes bought some records from him, and we saw like chatting a little while doing the like transaction, and suddenly one day he just said that their bass player had left the band, and because he had been playing the drums, he he decided to change on the bass, and he asked if I wanted to join as a drummer because he had seen Perikato. I think he known Horse Latitudes as well, so he knew it was pretty primitive stuff I was doing, and Ride for Revenge has always been ritualistic and really primitive, like really sweaty stuff. So that kind of fitted the whole thing.
And Heidi joined the band too, right? 2018.
Yeah, she first time she was live, just a live member. So 2017, she played the first gig with us at the Pori Finnish Death Metal Maniacs Festival. He was she was playing bass as a live bassist, but then shortly she used to play like a year or something like that, or every gig we had, and then we started to record the new album, and she was like recruiting as a like a member, just like a full member.
Is that where that's where the name came from, right? The Hail Conjurer name was from. That was your first time using that name.
Yeah, because when I joined the band, I chose myself a name, Hail Conjurer, as like this on the black metal context. So when I started doing this solo stuff, because it was essentially it was black metal, even though it's like pretty much all over, but it's still like the the central motif for the whole thing is just to play black metal. So I kind of because I knew I would be doing everything by myself. So at first I had some ideas that maybe I have a band with another name, which everything is played by Hail Conjurer. But then I realized that it works as a band name as well. So kind of became to be like the whole thing. So and it's I think it's like it works fine because that way I'm not like restricted in a conceptual thing that if I chose a name for the band which is different, then I kind of would have perhaps limited myself within the first idea or context of the band. So now it's everything that is black metal and played by me. I consider it be Hail Conjurer.
So you guys put the last full length for Ride for Revenge was 2021, the Feed the Infinity album. You guys did a 4-way split in 2023, an EP in 2023, and a live album in 2023. We're actually going to play a song off of the Feed the Infinity album. We're going to play Whatever in Hell It Is off of that record. We'll be right back on the Tampa Morgue after this track. go. That was Feed the Infamy off. Well, that was actually Whatever in the Hell It Is off the Feed the Infamy album from 2021 from Ride for Revenge. And you're also part of a heavy metal, like a doom metal band called Initiated. Are you still doing that? I know you guys put out like The Seed of Evil in 2015 and 2016. You guys put out World of Fire. Is that still active, that band?
No, it was kind of a project sort of thing. So yeah, after the first full length, we called it quits. So yeah, we haven't been doing any or nor planning to do anything after that. So yeah, everyone has lots of different bands to play in. So yeah, that was that was kind of a my solo. Basically, like there were some riffs play like written by other people, but the first and the most obvious thing was that I've always been like huge fan of Danzig and all his bands. So I was just I realized I was writing some songs in that kind of like style. So I wanted to.
Were you into the Misfits also during his time period?
Sorry.
Were you into the Misfits at all during his time period there, Danzig?
Yeah. I love like Samhain. I love the Misfits. I love Danzig. So all the music of Glenn Danzig is kind of that was the idea of Initiated, just to worship that style of music and like release those songs I was writing in the sort of that style. So that was the whole idea. So nothing like nothing deeper than that. It's more like getting those out of my system and yeah.
And, and to wrap up the Horse Latitudes portion of this whole interview, you guys did Black Soil. You guys put that out. You guys did 2 splits, I think, in 2014, a compilation in 15, and a single in 15. And in 2016, you guys did the Primal Gnosis. So that why was the band put? You guys are on hold pretty much. You guys aren't really. I mean, obviously, you and Heidi do, which we'll talk about, do other stuff together, and everyone. But why was Horse Latitudes put on hold?
It was I think we already had written and rehearsed like I don't know 60% for the next album, but I think that was the time we were everyone of us were doing some other things that we felt more inspired about. So it was kind of we realized that if we were to continue Horse Latitudes, it would be sort of forced thing to do. So we just decided like we're just not gonna like do it like if we don't have the passion to do it at that time. And ever since, because Heidi and I, we've been doing like Ride for Revenge, Regere Sinister, and with the other guys, I've been doing Hollow Woods. So kind of we haven't had any like I haven't been too excited about just continuing it for the sake of it. We had some rehearsal, like I don't know, a year after the last gig we played we played 2017, I think we played in Copenhagen. That was the last gig we played, and a year or year and a half after that we played something together with a guitar actually with some sort of we changed the whole thing with the same group, but it didn't just it was fun, but it wasn't like we need to like get this band alive again. So it's kind of it's hibernating. It's never.
So there is a chance though that you guys could revisit it eventually if needed.
Yeah, if wanted. Yeah, if we feel inspired enough. If we feel inspired enough, you never know. But it was like you said, haven't been doing anything publicly since 2017. So that's it's not a big chance that we suddenly go on and like just get it back. So every now and then some people ask. It was just like a few months ago when this gig organizer in Finland, who I know, was asking that if there's a chance. He was putting on a Doom show, and if there's a chance, but that doesn't seem very likely, to be honest.
And in 2016, obviously, you became the vocalist of Hooded Menace, which then the connection, as we talked about, can go back to 2012. First of all, how would you through my as a Hooded Menace fan, or as me and Ed talk about, lastly, how would you explain him? Because a lot of people, it's kind of some people call him a genius with his writing and stuff. How would you explain him from someone who actually spends? And I know you guys don't always. You pretty much record your stuff in Finland and vice in your area and stuff like that. But how would you, working with him as a professional? How would you explain Lassie in your words?
Well, he's a perfectionist. That's the first word that comes into my mind, and it's kind of for my job, for my role in the band. It's actually a relief because being previously a fan of Hooded Menace, and then the singer, and because I don't have any creative, responsibility in that band. I have that responsibility in lots of bands, so it's a kind of a relief to be just a singer. Lasse has everything figured out. The only thing I contribute sometimes are some parts of lyrics or something like that. But even with them, Lasse always writes the rhythms of the vocals, even before the lyrics are
all the patterns, right? All the
yeah,
patterns are mapped out.
Yeah, he's a drummer, originally from Phlegathon, the cult band from Finland.
I remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be not only the songwriter but also the drummer of the band. So he he has this really rhythmic way of thinking. So it's also with the vocals, the patterns are there. So it's kind of I don't need to put effort on thinking how to do it. I just do it. I know Lasse has been wanting my sort of style of singing since the last few years. That's why he got me to the band, because he thought that his way of these really low growls didn't fit the songs he was writing. So he wanted to have another sort of style of singing. So because I know that and I trust Lasse's vision, I can just go with the flow and do what is expected to do. And Lasse is he and this Sami Hynnin, Albert Richfinder guy, those are the two guys that I feel are the most perfectionist guys I know. But they're in different ways. Lasse is more like this, also technical, and whereas Sami is more perhaps more sort of intuitional way of thinking about structures and stuff. But yeah, Lasse is really perfectionist. He doesn't leave anything done unless it's he wants everything be done exactly how he imagines them to be.
And like you said, he basically wanted with your vocals, you kind of have different. He knew your abilities were a little what he wanted. He wanted a guy that could do the records, and which obviously you guys don't, but maybe at that time do shows, because we'll talk about how you guys don't do shows right now. Have done them for a while. But do you remember how he actually approached you about joining the band? And for you as a fan, was it kind of in the back of your head, you're like, oh, this is pretty killer, man?
Yeah, since the split, we had been writing every now and then, being in contact and just sharing maybe some musical findings and stuff. So we became friends, and suddenly when he was writing the stuff back then, I think he referred to the Black Soil, the song Black Soil, because he had bought the record and listened to, and the way I was singing the harsh vocal parts of the Black Soil, and he was like, this is the sound, this is the sound I want to have on the more articulate way of singing on the new Hooded Menace song. So that was, if I wanted to do that, they were doing this, they had already set up the split with Alagoma,
which was your first recording with them.
Yeah, so it's that was kind of my test, my trial sort of thing. So I recorded that, and Lasse was satisfied. Okay, you got the job,
And that was a Celestial Dissection. That was the song for that.
Yeah.
And was it hard for you? One thing that I figure for you, as I know your vocals in the past, you kind of had to adapt a little bit for more of that. I guess you would say the death metal vocals.
Yeah. Definitely, there was some adaptation, and it was. I think it took like until the latest record that I sort of like really think I found my way of working with my vocals in the way that satisfies Lasse like the best way. So it was a yeah. I think I think I had some like early Paradise Lost in back of my head, because I knew that that was the kind of a register for my voice that I would be able to do and still like articulate like words correctly and all that stuff.
I thought one thing that you had said in the past, that I think I had read that was kind of interesting was, with, like you said, Lassie lays out, you pretty much get his vision, you get the demos, right? He always gives you guys the demos with exactly everything patterned out. And I know you did the Celtic Frost cover, and we'll talk about in a little bit the other cover you did, the Wasp cover on the new record. But for you, with the covers, it's probably kind of like you can kind of a little bit more rope for you to do what you wanted maybe on those songs.
Yeah. Those were not even nearly that like structured, which is more like, for example, the Celtic Frost cover. It was like we had the rough idea that okay, here are the clean vocals, here are the harsh vocals, but the all the rhythms and all the articulation that was kind of a just done on the spot, and it was like I said, okay, that's good because he's the perfection. He's like I said, of course he didn't want them to sound shit neither, but because his own vision about his own songs is of course it's different than the other people's songs, so it was more freedom to do those.
And talking about freedom, so in 2017, you bring to life your main project, your solo project, the black metal band Hail Conjurer. Um, so when did you decide basically that you wanted to, which I would figure this is kind of like a outlet for you. You kind of do whatever, which first of all, people who don't know, Hail Conjurer has no, you're the only member.
Yeah.
You even perform live, which we'll talk about by yourself. Um, when did you finally decide, hey, I want to do something for myself and kind of not have, you don't have to go around a band room and say, hey, what do you guys think of this? What do you have to think of that?
um it originates actually in even the time like of the origin of Horse Latitudes. The same year 2009 I was exploring like doing the demo stuff by myself. But that time the demo I too much all over the place, like not having this straight like strict idea of what I was doing, just like this kind of song and this kind of song, and it. But there was still like something within the workflow when you're just doing by yourself and you don't need to articulate your ideas to others. You don't need to. You just do. You just do, and you follow your instincts. Then that was something that I had like in my mind ever since. So it took like 8 years, something like that, 8 full years to actually kind of start doing it again. So I was already doing some like songs for Ride for Revenge, but I was like starting to realize that I was creating some music that wasn't quite suitable for Ride for Revenge. It was black metal, but something different, and I just started like recording them by myself. And when I was doing that, then it clicked. I had the same kind of a flow of working just by myself, but the stylistically it also clicked somehow. I realized that what it was about, uh, and both not just musically but also sort of the thematical, the idea of like just reaching beyond some, I don't know, conceptual thinking. So yeah, when I did the first demo, Heaven Feels You Fallows, that just clicked, and it was like plug taking out of and just like being a constant flow ever since.
you mentioned that the demos, that was 2017, and a lot of with the Hail Conjurer. Well, first of all, the logo was done by Go Prayer, right, from Ceremonial Torture and Moonfall.
Yeah, but
Um,
he didn't do that for it was also the split with him when the demo when the logo first appeared. The first was just the text, the old English text
mhm.
for the first album and the first demos. Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. So Hail Conjurer, you do that's a lot of improvising too, right? You kind of, if I'm correct, you bring an idea to the studio when you record, and kind of when you're recording it, actually kind of improvise a little bit while you're writing it. That stuff kind of comes up as, like, I guess you would say, inspiration.
Yeah, and on the early records it was even more like that. But there's still a lot of that kind of a way of working. Still, it's like it's because I start with the drums. Usually I just start with the drums, and sometimes I start with the drums. Even without riff. But that's because I know when I start playing drums, I don't because I don't think about like in the terms of beats or tempos or that kind of stuff. When I start playing drums by myself, it's like it's the riff comes within the same time. So if I just start playing something, it kind of gets me to the mindset that the song starts to appear from the beat. So
It's
that
like a natural writing, basically.
yeah, and so the structures, song structures, and all that stuff, they follow the instinctual, usually the instinctual idea of where to go then, where to go next. Of course, sometimes there are more like this normal songwriting. I have a riff in my mind and I start like finding the drum pattern. But usually, even with those cases, the structure of the song isn't like set, like already decided. It takes its form while playing, and if the riff didn't exist before playing drums, it's usually it can even change in the middle. So when I get to play bass or guitar, I even though I had some riff in my mind when I was playing drums, when I start playing above the drums, on top of the drums, I realized that my mind works a different way. And then there comes another riff or another variation of the riffs, and I start following that. And that's the beauty of it, because I don't need to explain that to anyone. I can freely follow the intuition, the instinct, and go there, and not like hesitating, not hesitating or like
You don't
maybe.
have to worry about what someone else is going to think, or
Yeah. I can see when the song is ready, when I've recorded it, I can judge it after that whether there was something I wanted to do differently. But it's kind of I think one of the main things about the band is to kind of um, both unleash that sort of instinctual thing, but also leash, the process. You riding the wild beast, sort of like respect the some like chaotic parts of it, but still like gain something from it. That's the whole thing.
because you wanted to have that right from the beginning. You kind of wanted that whole raw, primitive sound from the start, from the band, right when the band first started. Um, and you got, like you said, you put out the 2017, the Heaven Piercing demo, and then the Manifest of Will in 2017, and then you weren't actually planning on doing any shows, right?
Yeah,
But so you kind of changed your mind a little bit, and when you did the 2018 record, the Dreams of Serpent, that was actually written to be a back. So the demos, you didn't have any of the tracks left, right? You didn't have the separate tracks left from the recordings.
yeah,
So you wanted to, and whoever doesn't know, like I said, Hail Conjurer plays, it's just you by yourself. You're the drums, everything is you. The drums are actually pre-recorded. It's you playing. All the guitar, everything's pre-recorded. So that Dreams of Serpent record was actually made to be your live, not your live band, but basically your live band behind you.
yeah. Like you said, like yeah, like it was because I had recorded the demos like with a fourth tracker, with the bass tracks, and then just glued the synth and the vocals on top of that. So I didn't have a way to like isolate the guitar tracks anymore, and I wanted to have just the drums, just the bass and synth, without vocals, without guitars, to to make it like work live, to play guitars and do vocals on top of that live. So I had to figure out something. Like you said, I wasn't been planning to do any gigs because it's not like when you're doing your solo stuff and you don't want to play like teach anyone to play them. It's not something you think that I'm gonna play live like a troubadour.
Yeah, because even when you see one man bands like say Mutilation or bands like that, they have a band live usually with them, even though it's a one
Yeah,
guy making the records.
yeah, and originally I was because I made an exception because it was my birthday on 2017 when Reptile Womb came to play in Finland for the first time, and I was like, okay, this is kind of a special occasion because it wasn't even like it wasn't a rock club, but it was actually like container, like rehearsal room within a container that was actually serving as a place for gig. So I thought this is like special enough. I can do something as perverse as like playing live alone with my own drums played on my back. So yeah, but I had to figure out how to do that. So
Were you nervous at all the first time? Like, if something goes wrong, you have to pretty much have your timing perfect. Like, there can't be no
yeah,
pause that you kind of.
yeah. I don't remember. I was nervous, but it was it more like a because it's kind of a yeah. I was more like interested in like seeing how it works because it was just a weird like so like a strange place to play, and they had this all experimental and noisy stuff already played in on the same venue. So it kind of I knew if it felt like it would fall down, that would be still like a performance to see.
Yeah.
Something strange happens, that will still be like okay. I was
Everyone loves a train wreck.
yeah, and I was prepared to be like make it like a one-off thing. That was the whole idea. At least I was like saying to myself, I never play like normal rock clubs because this is something that would require like different kind of setup. But after the gig,
You
after
played in Los Angeles too, didn't you?
yeah, I played Los Angeles. I played and it was
Right for it.
yeah, and it was the Los Angeles gig because we were playing with Right for Revenge, two Los Angeles gigs, and the organizer asked if I could play Hail Conjurer gig there as well because I was already in town. So after that, because that was a bigger venue, like a proper venue, a kind of a, and I started to have more questions like, can you play in Netherlands? Can you play here? And can you play there? And then I kind of abandoned the original idea of like choosing the place. I can play anywhere if just they have a um, good PA system. I can like drive all the backing tracks like in a full volume. I can do that like any place. Like last year I played in Steelfest, like a really big festival, and that was strange, but it worked as well. So it kind of I think right from after the first gig, I kind of realized that it was also sort of uh, making the point of what is about to be playing by yourself, just alone, yourself. You're without a safety net. You're just you, and if you screw up, you screw up. If something goes wrong, it go wrong badly. But it's like nothing. No one can recover. No one can cover you up. For example, the last gig I played a few weeks ago in Joensuu, in eastern Finland, there was this song in the middle of set. It was the Rebellion of the Flesh from the Earth Penetration record, and it's just like a synth and drums. And for the live setup, I only have the synth, and I do vocals on top of that, just like this kind of shouting profanities and stuff. And I was like doing this really long Hail Satan shouting with like a Satan going on and on and on, and I passed out in the middle of that thing. I just fell down like with my guitar on, and it was even borrowed guitar, not even my own. I would just fell on the audience on the monitors, and and people had to have to lift me up, but it was just like few seconds, so I could take before the next song. I was already like, okay, now where I am, okay, I can do this, and I continue with the gig. Of course, most of the people in the audience, at least the ones who I talked with, they thought that it was part of the performance. It was like a planned thing to do, just to like dive, like
It's your Jim Morrison.
yeah. So that was completely accidental, but it was like the thing that, because the backing track is already going on, no one knows what is supposed to happen, but you're yourself. You're solely responsible of like picking yourself up and just like going from there, no matter what. And I think that's the whole, if there's something that could mm, like something like about like this whole satanic like worldview and like individuality and all that stuff within which is obviously a part of black metal thing and the whole philosophy. If you want to get that somehow to the live thing, like just being yourself without a safety net, with like
satanic as it gets,
every
right?
reason you get, that's you're solely responsible for everything. You have no one to blame, but you don't have no one to thank either. So it's just like just you doing your thing and take it or leave it, like
Now, have you ever thought about like having another live member, or have you thought about like actually playing because obviously you can pretty much, since you record the music, you can switch up whatever you want. Have you thought about playing the drums on a show and doing vocals, or
um,
bringing someone else in, or is that something that's not going to happen with Hail Conjurer?
actually, at first when it wasn't like I hadn't like decided how to do it, I had the idea of playing drums and doing vocals, but that would require not like riffs, because that doesn't make sense to follow riffs when you're playing drums. It would be more experimental. Would be more experimental backing track, something to play drums. But I've been considering that, and because I've been doing some collaborational records and also gigs. For example, with Absolute Key, we do this noise industrial stuff. Then I play with other people, and with Metsäkirkko, it's more like this ambient and neo-folk stuff. That's the way of collaborating within the Hail Conjurer context. But I actually,
because that split, that one you just mentioned, that split's not. It's like totally like
it's not.
it's not a metal split at all.
Yeah,
It's totally ambient. Like,
yeah. There's 0% of metal in that. But it's I actually played drums on one Hail Conjurer gig that was in Copenhagen almost 2 years ago, I think, when we played with Absolute Key, and that was there was this technical thing that my guitar had some problems, and was the signal was cutting off, and we tried to fix it before the gig because I had the problem within the sound check, and we thought it would be fixed. And when the gig started, it started again. And after the first song, it was like almost nothing coming out from the guitar. It was just like some very, very random noises. So I had to decide what to do in the middle of set. But because there were these Danish bands were on the same lineup, and they had drums set up, and they had all mic'd up. So I just put my guitar away and took the mic stand and went behind the drum kit and played drums on top of my drums. So there were double drums, the backing track drums with the bass and synth, and then was me playing another primitive drums and doing vocals on top of that. That was something else. It did.
imagine being on acid or mushrooms watching that.
Yeah. That was something different. But the same thing as with the passing out. Yeah, like you just have to go with you have. I don't consider that as an option. Just to like okay, pause the backing track now, and we'll take it all again. No, it's either gig or not. And that's how I want to do it. And I don't say it was the perfect gig, but I think everyone who was there will remember that was something different.
Experience they'll never forget. Yeah. So, you speak of gigs we were talking about earlier. So 2018, you record the first full length with Hooded Menace, Silhouettes Unhollowed. And that's the last time, 2018 is the last actual time I think Hooded Menace ever played a gig, right?
Yeah.
If I'm correct.
Yeah. It was in Killtown Death Fest in September 2018. We played their last Hooded Menace gig so far.
Would you like to play? Do you misplay it? Like, would that be a band you'd like to play more gigs with?
I would be totally open with that. I always enjoy doing that because it's I'm just a vocalist, It's like I said, I have lots of freedom. I don't even play anything doing the vocals, so I have it's actually like I enjoy doing those shows, and with Hooded Menace, the gigs and the places we play are usually pretty different compared to the really underground stuff I usually do. So it's kind of a touristy sort of thing. Like, okay, this is how is this to play like a real big audience, big festivals or anything like that. So it's kind of I enjoy that, but it's Lasse, mainly Lasse who's not into the gigs anymore. It's like I think it has something to do with his perfectionist things that
So
he doesn't enjoy playing live at all.
So there's pretty much a chance that Hooded Menace will not do another live gig again.
Yeah.
And you did, so you were mentioned on that Unhollowed record, you did write lyrics on a song. You wrote in Eerie Deliverance, you wrote lyrics on.
Yeah.
Did you write all the lyrics to that song?
I think it was like 90%. I had the full lyrics, but Lasse changed like few words here and there, something for more of his taste. Perhaps something like that. Yeah, I think I gave him the full lyrics, but he just changed few words here and there to make more coherent. Yeah.
In 2019, Hail Conjurer, you actually put out the Erotic Hell record, which we actually played Serpent Sword Flame from that record to open up the show tonight. Now the cover art. Now Heidi does a lot of the cover art for you. She has a certain distinctive thing that a certain look that she has with the artwork. So is that like she hasn't done everything, I don't think, but she's done a majority of the covers.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah, it's
she Carnal Light. She did. Was it?
Erotic Hell, Carnal Light, also
Hail and Fire.
Hail and Fire, yeah. Sinister, and then the newest Satanic Phenomenology. She did the female figure on that one, and also some of the split stuff, Legation split tape, also the Ceremonial Torture split. She did that as well. Yeah, she's because I know her style, and she's executing like it so well. It usually comes pretty natural. Like when I have an idea, and if I wanted to have a drawing, if I have the idea of like drawn artwork, I usually ask her if she can do it. And sometimes even I see her working on with the piece when I visit her and see that would fit like perfectly. Is that something like she's doing for something or someone else? And if it's available, then we just okay, you can go it this way, and here's the music. You can finish the artwork. So it's pretty natural and easy, and like, yeah, we have this.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you if you gave her the ideas usually, or you kind of like just gave her the titles and she went with it.
Yeah, both. Sometimes more guidelines, and sometimes just like basic like theme and the music, and you just do how it feels like. It depends. Sometimes both. Yeah.
And also with Hail Conjurer, you guys have put out pretty much almost all your releases have come through the B Style Burst label. how did you like? Where did the relationship start there with that?
Because that's a label run by Right for Revenge, Primus Motor, the guy who who used to be the who started Right for Revenge by himself. He also has the label, and because he's been releasing Right for Revenge, he releases his own main band as well, and it's a yeah. When I was recording the first Hail Conjurer demo, I actually had recorded and mixed it, and I just sent him if he wanted to listen to it, and he liked the stuff, and he said, okay, I can put it out. So it's kind of a ever since it's always he's been doing the release, and it's kind of a like sometimes some other label could like release the vinyl version of, but all the albums are coming like mainly through Bestial Burst. CD is the main format for the band, and cassette tape and the vinyl are the extra formats. Sometimes they be released at the same time, sometimes with the same or different label. It's I don't even feel it's necessary to have them all on vinyl. The CDs is the first format for me for Hair Conjurer. Is the It works the best, but yeah, mostly been released on other formats as well.
With Hail Conjurer, one thing is you guys, every record is a little different. Like I noticed that like with all the albums, everything's just every album has its own thing going on to it.
Yeah,
It's nothing. Not I don't feel that any of them are exactly the same at all. If you
yeah,
look at Erotic Hell and you look at like Carnal Light, like and stuff like that, just there's a difference there in the material itself.
yeah, and I think that's how it's supposed to be because I feel I want to make sense make such many records. They should have their own identity, you know, even though they're from the same source, because of the one person. They should have their identity, sound wise, theme wise. So I don't say they're all thematic albums. There can be some albums. Some albums don't have that like a strictly one theme or even two themes, but they're still like a sound wise or atmosphere wise. There has to be some like essence to it to make it like to make sense to really like have several albums. Otherwise, I would be like having just one album and perfecting it like album after album. But I don't within that with that band it doesn't just make sense. It has to be something like new perspective uh, to do every time, and that's why I usually change the techniques. I change the equipment. I do record or anything. I want to like explore it. Within every album. I have the different starting points and the idea or the main idea to start work with.
Okay, and then 2021, obviously the latest Hooded Menace record, Trentus Bell. You recorded the vocals for that in Finland, so you hadn't seen the last time you were all together in a room was actually 2000 was when you guys did the video for that record for those who absorbed the night.
Yeah, as a full band. Yeah,
As a full band. Okay, we're actually going to play that song here in a minute. Well, now with that record, obviously, which has been talked about a lot, is it definitely has a very big '80s feel. And I know that what Lassie was listening to a lot of like '80s rock and '80s metal. What Priest, I would figure, Merciful Fate, probably King Diamond and stuff. So, did you feel when you were given the material, like when you were getting the demos, because I'm sure it was the same process as the previous record? You're getting the demos with the stuff mapped out for you. Did you notice right away? Because you can even tell right when that guitar hits on the first track, like it was very '80s influenced.
yeah, yeah. And it was pretty obvious that it would be like that because Lasse's been the last few years he's been like listening mostly the to the music from his childhood. He's been really like going back to the '80s classics, and that's like all he does, almost listens to, and he talks about. So that was pretty obvious that he would be like going deep into that direction. But I think it was cool how he still executed like in a way that I don't feel no one has done, like with the 80s heavy metal, with within the Death Doom like this context. It was something cool. Like you can obviously hear the influences, but still like it's an original mix how you do that. So there was, I think that's pretty cool about him, that even though he's not like ashamed of these influences, he makes them like something else.
Yeah, and you could still, like you said, it's still got the Hooded Menace thing, but you could definitely, the music wise, it totally has that vibe. And you guys actually went to Andy the Rope to, because he wanted what, the guitar sound, right? He wanted a cleaner guitar sound than the previous albums for Hooded Menace.
Yeah, and the riffs, because you can hear the King Diamond, Merciful Fate things going on. The riffing, it was like a no-brainer to get out of the Rope to do the mixing, sort of that part of the production process. So yeah, he did really well. And I think with Hooded Menace, there's also, Lasse has this same kind of idea that every album has its own like sound.
Face, right?
Yeah, and sound should be different. So we've been changing, and Lasse has been changing before me, changing the studios, changing the engineers, and mixing the persons who've been mixing the albums to make the atmosphere unique when compared to the other albums. And so having the 80s, the crisp 80s sound on the latest one, that was it was cool to have that. And Little Rogue, it was. I remember there was these tests with the cabinet, different guitar cabinets, like different amps and cabinets, and it was just like whether it's this one or should we change the cabinet, I think he said that okay, he used this on the King Diamond tour on that different this certain year and stuff. And then the last, okay, we don't change that,
we got to keep that one. Yeah,
we get the magic with a true King Diamond way. Yeah.
And you guys did, obviously, you did the Wasp cover, which me and Ed are both big Wasp fans. And you did The Torture Never Stops.
Yeah.
But you actually demoed Judas Priest's Nightcrawler. Was there any other 80s songs that you actually were thinking about doing that besides the first song of the Wasp?
Yeah, they are, and I think it's better not to reveal them, because there's a slight chance that something's coming up at some point. Like,
how about the bands? Can you tell us at least a band or two? That
I think I keep the surprise.
Damn it, Ed.
Yeah, but definitely.
You tried.
Tell me, man.
But yeah, there's definitely going to be some more 80s covers, like treated within the Hooded Menace.
Did you keep the Night Prowler for yourself though? You had to keep that.
I have that. Yeah, the problem with the Nightcrawler was that because as we all know, Halford's vocals are so like a key thing on those Judas Priest songs. So with Hooded Menace, because the vocals aren't melodic, that would need a lot of like extra guitar work to make the vocal melody to kind of be arranged into that song structure. So it was a kind of it wasn't bad, but it was like it was just like you could hear that this is a death metal band who tries to imitate Rob Halford with their guitar. It's not like this is the actual like the version, like you could have the good version of the song, but it was more like for fun, So I think the problem is the vocal, because the vocals are limited to the certain style with Hooded Menace, and that's it just don't make justice for Judas Priest. So that's the problem.
We're going to play a song off of that record now from the 2021 Tritonus Bell. We're going to play Those Who Absorb the Night, which you guys actually did a video for also. And we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue right after this. There you go. That was Those Who Absorb the Night off of the Season of the Mist release from 2021 from Hooded Menace, the Tritonus Bell. Now, is there anything going on? I mean, you probably can't tell us this actually either, but is there anything going on in Hooded Menace camp? Are you guys demoing anything, or is there like?
Well, Lasse just finished the compositions for the record, so the new record is fully written. Uh, the lyrics aren't finished yet, but all the music is already written for the next Hooded Menace records. So it's on a good way, you know.
Okay, great. And we're gonna get you out of here pretty soon too. I know we've kept you for a while, but I want to mention the latest Hail Conjurer record before we do mention that. So you also have there's a couple of things you have going on. You have Devil's Gateway, which you do all the instruments on, right? And you have a vocalist. What's going on with that band? The status of that?
Yeah, we just there's a new EP, 2-song EP coming out next week, I think, on a tape on Iron Corpse label. So we last year we did the first demo tape and a first full length called Eternal Grind, and I think it was December we recorded this 2-song EP, and there's a plan to and songs to do for the second album. So if everything goes as planned, the second album should be recorded this year.
Okay, and how about the Hollow Woods?
Hollow Woods, we just released our second album in February. So
That was like Twisted Bones of Fallen Giants. That one.
yeah, that's the band that I share with the other Horse Latitudes members. Two of the Horse Latitudes members and a couple of the other guys are playing the band, and that was originally also the band that I was just recruited as a session vocalist, because the songwriters are the mainly who used to be the Horse Latitudes guys, but nowadays on the second album everyone makes some other than me every player in the band makes some music. So but I on the first album I was still more like a session vocalist, so I just arranged the lyrics for the songs, but on the second album, because it has more variety on the vocal section, I took more responsibility on the arrangements, and we were like doing actual like pre-production demos and all that stuff. So it wasn't just like me appearing on the rehearsal room before the recording sessions, but now we were like producing the vocals all together, and so and we played like few gigs. So yeah, the second album is just out, and the third one is already been written.
Is that you did a mini tour, right, with Absolute Key with that band?
No, it was just the one gig. It was just the one gig. We in Estonia, Black House of Winter. Uh, we I played with this collaborational gig, Hail Conjurer, Absolute Key collaboration, but Hollow Woods also played on the same night on the lineup. So yeah, that was the first gig outside Finland for Hollow Woods. Third gig in a row. We haven't been too active on the gig section, but because of some of the members weren't too keen on doing live shows at first. But now I think we have the lineup that is actually like capable to do the songs within the quality we want, because it's not like easiest music to play in a like tight way, because it has such the tempos and the structures and stuff like that. So now we have the lineup that can actually pull out.
You actually you broke your wrist. Was it last year? You actually how did you do that? That probably sidelined you for a little bit.
That was the most ridiculous thing. I just fell down in a sports play, just slipped and I fell down on my wrist. So it was like I don't know what is in pounds, but a little bit over 100 kilograms of flesh on your wrist. That's not gonna end well. So it twisted like, and I, it wasn't any actual bones broken, but there's this triculite or something like that, some sort of a thing between the joints and stuff. It got like snapped. So it was like a few weeks with a wrist support, and after that, like recovering slowly. But yeah, a couple of months of recovery because of that.
That shit always sucks. That always, especially when you're active, that kind of puts you down for a while. It's
Yeah, I
like,
know. I know. I was waiting for the summer because I had lots of plans. Like when the summer comes, I just do workout and record like a couple of albums, drum tracks and stuff, and then the whole June last year was like no way to play drums, and I had to only do jerker squats in the gym, like without wrist. You can also only do some leg exercises and all this stuff. So yeah.
so, and you know, with speaking of the Hail Conjurer, you just put out a new record also. I think you put out in February. What can you tell us about that?
Uh, yeah, it was recorded last summer, uh, right when I got my wrist somehow recovered. I started recording it in July last year, and I think it's uh, when compared to the other Hail Conjurer records, it's a little bit exception because of the wrist accident, and because of the time I had before I could actually record it. I planned it and I wrote it in more detail than I used to do with Hail Conjurer. I used to like I said, I used to go to the studio sessions and just like start playing and like see where it goes. And sometimes lyrics were written after the songs were recorded and all that stuff. Or sometimes I improvised the lyrics and stuff. But with Satanic Phenomenology, that was the first time. I think the music was like 80% uh, like fully written when I started recording. All the lyrics.
Are you recording this stuff at home, or are you recording? You have a studio by your place. You're recording this.
It's usually some sort of like rehearsal place environment. So it's usually a rehearsal spot where I just put the mics and start like exploring the different equipment. I do something at home like synthesizer, keyboard stuff, sometimes vocals, because if I get onto if I get the idea and I get it like inspiration, it's like I don't start booking, the rehearsal place and start like putting things on my calendar. I just want to do it right away. So I have some recording equipment here at home as well to do that.
With Hail Conjurer, you usually put out several, like 2 or 3 albums, or like a couple of releases a year. Is that going to be the same thing for 2024?
No, there's no like a fixed pace to do that. It's usually like that when I've recorded the album, I start to get like new ideas, and because of the releasing schedule, it's usually that the releases takes 6 months to a year to get the album released after it's recorded. So it's usually when the album gets out, there's another one coming already because I've had time. But there's nothing like I don't have any idea that I should do on any different any like certain pace. So
It just happens. It happens.
yeah,
So
it happens. It's usually like a one album per year, and maybe some splits and stuff like that. With the exception of 2021 when there came 2 albums, Hell and Fire and Sinister, but that was because they were recorded within a few weeks in the summer 2020. They were just like kind of a continuous sessions, just changing from other album to other and changing the sound in between.
you guys have any shows set up for coming up for Hail Conjurer?
Oh, there's this one noise collaboration with Absolute Key coming in 1st June in Turku, and then there should be one Hail Conjurer gig in Helsinki. There's a rock venue, but there's some some foreign bands that have some problems with visas, so I don't know how it works out. It should be sorted out within a week, and and then there's one Hail Conjurer gig in Tampere. Problems with the venue because the venue is going renovated, just and they had to cancel all the gigs for the September. And then there's one festival gig in Spain that should be happening, but it's not announced yet, so I don't say the name of I don't say the schedule or anything like that, not to ruin the promoters thing. But there should be one Spanish gig later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also have one more album coming out that it's already scheduled. You and Heidi have a record coming out on Nuclear War Now Productions. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Regere Sinister is it's a band me and Heidi we've been doing since 2020. Heidi's been really into that kind of doomier black metal stuff for years, and yeah,
she's doing the vocals on this, right?
Yeah, she
vocals,
plays,
keyboards.
yeah, bass guitar, vocals, and keyboards, and I play drums and guitars on that one. And it was we recorded the first demo 2020, and then few splits in between. But we've been working with the album already. We worked 3 full years, so we started recording early 2021, and it was because we do lots of other stuff. We didn't have like a really intensive like sessions, but we like once in a few months we came back with the record. So it was it took 3 full years to finish the record, but that's really, I think that came up really great, and it's been worth the wait. Bestial Burst will release the CD version of it.
And the name of the record is Inside the Eye of Horned Winds.
Yeah.
Which that title track has already been released, but we're going to play another song tonight that you had. I'll let you.
No, it's actually the tracks that's been released it's the same. The Typhaeon or Typhaeon. I don't know how to pronounce it because it's a Greek god or something like that, god of chaos. But it's just the Nuclear War Now's this kind of a YouTube the video they released as a sample song. They used the title of the album on the title of the video, but the song is called a different name. Yeah.
So we're going to hear that now, and that record comes out June 15th, I believe.
Yeah, it might actually come a bit earlier. It's in the pressing process already, so you might expect it to come even earlier. But that's the latest it'll be out in June.
Okay, and we're going to play that now. We'll be right back on the Tampa Morgue after this, and we're going to get back and say goodbye to Harri. We'll be back after this track.
Rolling
There you go. And again, Harry, what was the name of the song we just heard?
Typhaeon, I think, is the proper way to pronounce it. But yeah,
See, I don't feel bad now if I pronounce it wrong because
yeah,
it's not. I don't feel as bad, you know.
yeah. It's a thing with here in Finland. We used to pronounce our band names or song names in English, even like not the proper way. For example, I don't. In my mind, I don't play in Hail Conjurer. I play in Hail Conjurer. That's the
Yeah,
way. So
and I wonder myself, like even like with back listening to Horse Latitudes and stuff, when I say your guys' names, I'm like, because in when I think of it, like I hear people say Hari, like when I hear it, I hear Harry, or I don't know if I'm saying Heidi's name right because it sounds different when you say it, So
yeah,
it's just a way you pronounce things, but. Yeah, man. I know we appreciate you coming on the show tonight. First of all, like I said, I think I dealt with you probably it was a while ago, back when you first started doing Horse Latitudes and stuff. And I always appreciate, you guys were always cool back then. And I mean, first of all, where can anybody find anything Hail Conjurer that they're looking for? I guess your social media platforms or wherever you want to, send people to pick up CDs or whatever you have available.
yeah. There are Bandcamp is usually the best place to pick all the merch I have for sale. For example, there are on my Bandcamp page. You can also find the full discography, full like a free for streaming over there. So hailconjurer.bandcamp.com. That's the main address. But yeah, I have the social media like Instagram and Facebook pages as well. Instagram is because it's a more visual side. I quite often post some like archives, photos, and all that stuff. So to kind of for the visual stuff. So that's also a good way to like follow what's going on.
Yeah, I think me and Ed are always talking about it, right, Ed? With the social media stuff, it's with Facebook. Even with the podcast stuff, like it seems like Facebook, if you're not paying for the ads and stuff like that, the traffic just sucks.
Yeah,
I think Instagram, right, Ed, is probably our best.
Seems to be the easiest way to find the most content, because even Facebook, you put something up and some people don't get alerted, they don't even see it. But Instagram, you put stuff up all day, and I always see the Tampa Morgue, like all day stuff's flying, and you're putting up the little
Yeah,
reels.
try to keep active on Instagram.
Yeah, because it's easier because it's quicker.
And we're a weird show. We don't like Ed. We don't do like we were talking about before we started recording tonight. We don't do all the videos. Like a lot of the interview shows do the videos, and we just kind of have this weird notion that like people feel more comfortable not being on camera all the time. Even ourselves personally, like it's easier to actually talk to somebody when you're not being video recorded and stuff. And so I think that probably hurts a little bit too. I know that YouTube wise, it does hurt because I know that a lot of the interview shows now are. Like Harri was saying earlier, like he does a lot of the promo for Hooded Menace, and he's always on video.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just for us, it's like we're almost sitting in a bar having beer, just talking. That's how I see this. We're just having a conversation, going through your history. Because a lot of podcasts don't do that. They don't talk about you, where you came from, what you do, who you are. They just want to know what your favorite food is. Nobody cares, really. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you eat good food. You said
Yeah,
you eat like more veganish, so to me that's clean. That's great. It means you're healthy. But
Yeah, 16 years you said, right? What, or is it
yeah,
16 years you started going?
sometime, yeah, from 2008, yeah.
It's hard here over in like Lithuania. Everyone's eating everything sausage. Everything's like, it's a lot of pork, which in the states, I don't think pork is. You can get pork, of course, but it's not as popular. Um, so it's got to be. But for you, I think the hardest thing would be when you go play shows, probably to like get the food you want. I mean, I guess it's not that hard, really. You can always improvise anything if you really want to.
Yeah. I think the hardest was I think it was 2016 when Perikato was playing 3 gigs in Russia in the middle of winter, and we had these 13 to 16-hour drives between the cities, and only vegan stuff you can find from the gas station was like, potato chips and vodka, and sauerkraut, and that was I
Yeah.
was eating just lots of sauerkraut and potato chips and vodka for
wow.
living.
Yeah, that's gonna actually. I was actually wondering because I know you had done from your previous bands. You had done a bunch of shows in Russia, so now I'm sure that avenue's cut off now. Over here you can't. Obviously, everything's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, it's like a whole. It's just everything's just nuts basically. But do you guys go to Riga? You guys hit like those areas?
I've only been to Riga once, but it was like a work trip. But I like the city. Uh, I think that Estonia, Tallinn is the they sometimes even refer it to the southern Finland because there's so much like ferry traffic going on between Helsinki and Tallinn. So it's a
You've been to Lithuania?
no, never been to Lithuania. I'd love to actually go there. Never been there.
Yeah, I actually would like to check out. I've never been to Steelfest, and obviously now being in the states, it was like not as easy. Now it's much easier to go to some of these festivals and stuff. And is that one you would definitely recommend?
Yeah, Steelfest is always nice. Yeah, it's really nice location. It's like an old uh, factory, like these red brick factory buildings, and it's has nice outdoor areas. It really relaxed in the middle of in the center of the city. So it's easy like easy to come by train from Helsinki, for example, because it's not in Helsinki, but it's like an hour away. But it's in the center, so it's really easy to go, and it's always really well organized. So it's besides the bands, it's usually not nothing bad to say about the whole atmosphere. It's a really nice place to be.
Yeah, well, man, we appreciate you coming on, and giving us your time. And you're always, obviously, anything you get, you can always send it to us. We'll play it. If you ever want to come on, you're always welcome. Um, and Ed, what do we have coming up here? I got to look at the list here. We have Mike Pucciarelli from Raped Ape, which is obviously the old Florida band, coming on May 2nd.
Yep.
We have Ryan Waste from Bat and Municipal Waste on May
Oh,
12th. Yeah, we have a couple other things that we're
lining
working on
up.
the dates for. You're lining up. And anybody who listens to us can obviously find us where, Mr. Webb.
Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Instagram for sure. Blow up your computer if it has Facebook. Thetampamorgue at gmail.com for questions or if you want to tell us the stuff, but we won't read your bad stuff anyway. So, yeah, but yeah, pretty much all those outlets and YouTube, even though it's no video, but it's there. The thing about YouTube is like I have the premium, which I don't know why I pay for that crap, but if you turn the screen off, you can still listen to it. A lot of the services, when the screen goes off, it pauses. So there's a benefit to YouTube if you have the premium service, but other than that, it's all the same. You can find us everywhere.
Anywhere you stream, you could definitely find
Absolutely.
us anywhere, like Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. And again, Harri, thanks a lot, man. Anybody, we'll say goodbye to you after we sign off here. Anybody, check out Hail Conjurer, obviously Hooded Menace. And you got a bunch of projects. Like I said, when I actually got a hold of Harri, I was like, hey, you want to come on the show? And, you see the list of bands he's got. You're like, I told him, I was like, I hope you got some time, man, because you got a fucking list here, a lot of bands and a lot of stuff, And for me, like I said, I first got familiar with Harri back at the Horse Latitude days. So really appreciate you coming on, man. And
absolutely.
and we appreciate all of our listeners. Thanks for always listening. It's episode 40. And Harri, anything on the way out you want to say?
I don't have anything in mind, but yeah, thank you for inviting me. Well, it has been a nice way on a memory lane,
No problem, man. And once Harri sends us the tracks that he recorded, the 80s tracks that he didn't want to tell us, we'll start playing them next week on the show. Yeah, man, thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week on the Tampa Morgue.
See ya.